upgrade kits to build a titanium clutch, replace all your steel parts or most of your steel parts in your clutch with our titanium pieces. Saves you a lot of rotating weight. The titanium seems to bite better, especially when you use our frictions. We're going to take you through everything. When you get our clutch, it's most likely going to come saran wrapped with all the pieces like this in a box. That way it doesn't vibrate around and it doesn't scratch anything. So we're going to open this up and show you what everything is. All right, so when you get one of our clutch kits, this is what it's going to come with. Obviously, you have your spring plate, our new plate or our lever plate, whatever you want to call it, activator plate. You have your top plate of the clutch that this goes on, springs bolt to. Obviously, you put your levers in here first, so we'll go through that in a second. You got your 2 floaters for a 3-disc, 1 floater for a 2-disc, and no floaters for a single, and then your titanium drive hub and drive plate. In your pack of hardware here, you are going to have socket head Allen 1032s that go into your lever plate and bolt that down into your drive hub, which will show you that. If you've got a 1-disc, you have 4. If you get a 2 or 3-disc, you will have 6. Then you have your lever pins here, which are also titanium. Very importantly, the last little screw you got is going to be a 440. This little guy is very important and often overlooked. This is a button head Allen that goes into your clutch basket. This goes in from the outside to your clutch basket so that the snap ring that holds your gear in place, which we'll show you that on one of our other baskets, the snap ring cannot rotate and allow the gear to pull out. Very important that you run that piece. I'm going to get our levers ready. I'm going to put our weights. So we're going to fast forward through that and then we'll take you into building the rest of the clutch. Now that we've got these together, we're going to go ahead and put the pins in. We have noticed that on some of these, the pin might go in a little tight. It's okay if it's a little tight into the lever itself, as long as there's no binding into the plate, which we've had great results with these plates. All right, we have all of our levers in onto the plate, and they are all nice and free for us. So once you have all your levers in there, it's going to slide onto your top plate just like that. I am going to go get some springs. All right, so I'm back with our springs and our retainers. We're going to drop all of our springs in there, make sure they sit flush and aren't crooked or getting bound up in the pockets at all. They should be perfectly fine. All right, so we have our lever plate all together with our springs on there. They are just hand tight at the moment. It's important to make sure that you don't over tighten your springs. So we're not going to tighten these down with a wrench until we're ready to check our spring heights and make sure they're at the number that we want to get the correct RPM engagement with our clutch. We're building a 3-disc, so we'll have 3 frictions going in there. We're gonna drop in our first friction. Then we take one of our floaters. Now, on the 3-disc, I line up the first teeth with the keyway over here. The second friction goes on. The second one is going to be staggered, offset. That way, when we drop this top one on, the top of this can be lined up with the hole, so it's offset, lined up with the keyway. Now, we can feel, just with this sitting on here, that everything is a little tight. So we're gonna need to add a couple spacers, little shims that go on here. They do tend to get stuck inside the teeth as you come on and off. And when you go to tighten everything down, sometimes the shims will stick to each other and get stuck. So we're gonna add probably 3 shims on this clutch. That seems to be the normal. So let me grab those real quick. All right, so we're back with our shims. I have 2 silver shims, 1 gold shim. We're gonna start there and I'll get all these lined up. We're going to line it up with the holes. Now there are holes that are not threaded. You can see the difference in that. Get them lined up the best you can. That way your socket head Allens go in nicely. And now with that just rested on there, you can see everything moves freely. Seems like it might be a little thick. I'm going to pull 1 shim out. Let's go ahead and tighten that down and see where we're at. All right, so we have, I like using the long 5/32 here. I take it off and I'm going to hand tighten all of these for right now. Get all 6 in there. On a single disc clutch, you would not have all 6 of these bolts. You would only do them in the corners. That is because the bolts that hold the backing plate to the drive hub are too long and they would come through. So for example, you're going to see instead of all 7 of these, we only have the 4 corners. That way you have the 4 open slots to bolt the lever plate into. That is why those kits only come with 4. All right, perfect. So what I like to do, because I've had it give me false readings before, is I like to take all of the frictions, move them around a little bit so they kind of settle themselves in place. We are looking for a nice tight 30 thousandths. So I'm going to grab my 30 thou on my feeler gauges. It is just, it fits, it's a little snug. I don't want to force it. Let's check 28. 28 goes in nice. I'm okay with the 28. Chances are it will open up a little bit as soon as we run it on the clutch tester to set the RPM. So right now it is at 28 thousandths of an inch. We recommend 30 to 35, maximum of 35 thousandths once you have it in. All right, so I have my spring height checker here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my nut driver and just give these a little bit of a tighten till I feel like we're getting close. I'm going to go ahead and get these all about even real quick, and then I'll start checking these heights. Like I said earlier, you want to make sure that you're not over tightening everything. I have them all about the same. Once you build a few of these, you can start to get the hang of it and start to just feel where your heights are going to be based on the tension on the springs. It go around 2 times and come back to 60. There's 1, there's 2, and make sure it's nice and flat, 260. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these set, and then we'll finish putting everything back together. We've got everything air gapped, 28 thousandths. Then we have our spring heights set to 260. We are nice and free. Everything moves around, nothing's bound up. Now let me show you how one of our clutch baskets goes together. All right, so we have one of our 3-disc aluminum clutch baskets here. We do sell all of our own clutch baskets as well. This is already fully assembled, and we're going to take it apart to show you how it goes together. This silver piece that you see in here is your bearing snout. That would usually be on the back side of your bully clutch. Ours is separate, so your basket assembly and your actual clutch pieces are all completely separate. You don't have to disassemble this anytime you want to take your clutch apart. So on this one, you can see we have our thrust washers and thrust bearing. There is the very important 440 set screw that is in the basket that is holding the gear snap ring in place so it does not rotate. I'll talk more about that in a second. And the last thing I want to show, it's hard to see on the video because it is so little, but we recommend 30 thousandths of end play, which is how much the bearing snout can move in and out. This one's actually a little bit tight, but this is just for running the tests on the dyno. We don't actually have a chain on that clutch. Take the outside snap ring off here. All right, so once you have that off, this slides apart. On this clutch, you can see that we have a thick and a thin washer with our thrust bearing. Now, you can run whatever you'd like in here. On some of our other clutches, we would just run one thin washer with no other second washer and a bearing. Some guys just run 3 washers together with no bearing. So you need at least a washer, a thrust washer in there. Then when you look inside here, you see the backside of the 440 holding this snap ring from rotating, because if it rotates and one of these gaps ends up where the gear is being held into the basket, it could pull out, it'll rip out of the aluminum basket with the tension of the chain and destroy the clutch basket, and your night will be over. So it's very simple. This just all slides together and is one assembly. And now that is what our fully assembled clutch is going to look like. Now we are going to test and try to get our RPM engagement. All right, so we are all finished up with this clutch. This is our fully assembled 3-disc, ready to go on somebody's junior sprint. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Facebook or email on the website, and we'll get back to you and figure out what you need to get going.